So we're in my project car. This car's a 1992 Ford Capri, the Club Sprint, which they only built 200 of these in 92 in the black with the turbo. It's a front wheel drive, which when they built this car, their excuse for that was they wanted to make a convertible. Basically, they didn't really think about much else. They just wanted a cheap, affordable convertible. What they didn't really think of is, the success of the MX-5 and of the old MG and those cars, which ended up really killing it because the rear-wheel drive platform is just such a better car as a driver. Had it for maybe 3-4 months now, and we picked it up for extremely cheap. It's probably the only real reason that we could afford another car. I've said in other videos, cars are very expensive. I've got 3 kids, got a family, and it is hard to get into. Anybody that's into cars knows it costs money, but there's cost involved, and 9 times out of 10 I'll choose my family over everything else. And then on the odd occasion we'll get some money to put into cars. And so when this came up for what I thought was extremely cheap, we were able to buy it, which is pretty cool. So we got this car, and it needed some work. That's one of the reasons it was so affordable. And the main things were there's a little bit of stuff with the engine, but mostly it was body work, body panel damage. The things that were good about the car is it ran, it was registered, it has the greatest note out of all their cars. If you hear this in the tunnel, brilliant note. Puts a smile on your face everywhere you go. So that's a good thing about it. But yeah, it needed a lot of body work. That was the main problem with it. So we've been, myself and a couple of friends, pulled the front guards off and the front quarter panel, right side front quarter panel, and the front bumper, and worked pretty hard on the rear of the car just to get the damage, the scrapes and the scratches fixed. That was the first time we've ever had to go at fiberglassing, and we'll show some clips of that. The other thing we did with this car was the engine. It needed just a bit of an overhaul. There's nothing super wrong with it, but needed new belts. Belts were fairly squeaky and fairly worn, missing chunks out of it. The front brakes needed new pads. For some reason they were really glassed up. There's plenty of tread, but they were glassed up. Really glassy, shiny, worn strangely. So at the moment I've just found that a squeal has come back under certain conditions, so we'll have to go a bit deeper into that and see if we can work out what's going on. It needed, we just put plugs in it, oil, coolant, just gave it a full service, all the filters, all the fluids changed. It wasn't too bad, to be honest. There is a leak somewhere. Tappet cover was almost finger tight when it came to doing up the bolts on that, so we just gave them another half turn or more just to, with the socket, just to tighten them a little bit. You never know how worn a gasket is, so I didn't want to go too hard in case I actually cracked it and made it worse. But the other thing it had was it was running an aftermarket blow-off valve and an aftermarket pod filter, which are all not bad things. It's got the alarms and all that sort of stuff on it. The issue that I ended up finding with the blow-off valve was that it's quite a large blow-off valve that only, let's get past this, it's quite a large blow-off valve and it only vents to atmosphere. It doesn't vent, recircle the air back through it. This is the one that was added. That made zero sense to me at all. So did some research and found the manual, the mechanic's manual, the workshop manual for this, and identified the stock blow-off valve, and then realised that it was still there. So this car was running two blow-off valves, which was causing a strange noise, and we identified that noise after a bit of trial and error, and just almost by fluke when we blocked off one of the blow-off valves, that sound was actually a valve getting confused and sort of vibrating, as it wasn't sure if it should open or close. So still not sure if that damaged the stock valve or not. It seems to be working all right. It was just way too loud, and because it's a convertible, you get enough attention without being an idiot with massively loud blow-off valve. But I've got nothing against blow-off valves. The Mazda's got a go fast bits of GFB one that, you know, you have the option of recirculating or not. It's easy to change, and so quite often I'll have it plumb back so there is no vent to atmosphere when I'm driving as a daily. But if I go to the track or go somewhere, I'll vent to atmosphere, and I love the sound, but I just think it's a bit much when you're going to get milk. The bodywork on this, the front bumper is fiberglass, and it was quite fairly badly cracked. The actual where it mounts on one side was totally torn off. So I had a friend come in, Andy Scott, who is an aeronautical engineer, used to work on planes for an earlier part of his life. So he has a lot of experience working with fiberglass and different materials like that. So he came in and showed us how to repair the bumper, which was great. Then from there it was basic bodywork 101, so there's a lot of sanding and filling and sanding and filling, and trying to get any imperfection, any scratch sanded down and then filled and sanded. And this probably took what was close to a month with the car being in the shed. I had it up on axle stands the whole time in the front, which I really don't know why I did. All I needed to have it up for was to get the bumper off. But one of those things, once it's up, don't think to take it down. So we had a few friends over. Matty Walter came around and did a heap of sanding, and when we worked on the engine, had some other guys around to help out for a little bit, which was great. Brad Robinson came around and helped us do some of the fluids and the belts, and it has been a bit of a project to do with other people, which has been great. Been really good having some friends to help out with this. Then one of the things that you keep hearing when it comes to bodywork and paint is, you know, preparation is everything, and it's so true. When it came time to paint, I possibly could have spent another couple of days just on those finer touches, just once again filling the imperfections and sanding it again and filling and sanding, and then maybe paint it over a longer period. I had more time, but working full time, working long hours quite often, having nights out just leaves limited daylight to be able to see what you're doing, and limited resources to be able to paint properly in the space that I have. So we did the best that we could with what we had. Great note. And probably rushed it just a little bit when it came down to putting paint on. I noticed that because there's some minor imperfections, but having said that, I'm really being a perfectionist with that. But the car looks great. It's 100% on what it was. It looks so much better now Probably my biggest regret is that I didn't do the whole car. There's still some minor dents around the place that I didn't do. I just focused on the major parts. But I've still got enough paint to do the rest if I get around to it. At the moment, I just want to drive the car. It's kind of hard having a car that you're enjoying and not being able to drive it because you've done something to it. But you'd have a project car, I guess. Always minor things you want to do with your cars. The rims probably need a bit of a paint. Again, there's some chrome that's been, looks like clear coated, and the clear coat hasn't stuck and it's coming off. It annoys me a bit, but mostly what I found is that being a convertible, you want to drive from the top down. The roof is terrible. The roof leaks like a sieve, so that's definitely a big part of the next big job, is to get a new roof on it. But yeah, I found when I was out on the freeway, the one time where I feel I could listen to some music, put the radio on without looking like a douche. Yeah, when we got to that point, I couldn't hear it. The wind noise was way too loud, and so decided to put an amp in that I had got given to me by a guy called Michael Fraser a number of years back. It's been in most of my cars. I gave it to my brother, Matthew, who had it sitting in his shed for a while, and it came full circle and is now sitting on the back of this. That was all right. It wasn't too hard. The frustrating part about that job was the owners, somewhere in the car's history, it's had an amplifier of some sort. I don't know if it was speakers or sub, probably sub. And they left a lot of the wiring in the car, but they, as a lot of people do when they're going to sell a car and it sort of happens a bit quick, they just cut the wires. If you are going to do that, just don't cut them too short, please. The guys on this car just cut it so that basically there's a wire sitting underneath the carpet that's not usable for anybody. Yeah, don't leave it active. Disconnect both ends so you don't have power running through it, but leave it long enough so the next guy just has to attach another fitting, save them a heap of work. If you're gonna cut it and get rid of it, pull it out. So it's alright, just not having a whinge about it too much, just saying it was frustrating trying to make things reach and trying to work out, can you splice or add on to a major power wire, and deciding it's all pointless and having to remove seats to pull the wire out and all sorts of stuff. It was all an adventure. It only took a night, and so the car now has a fantastic sound system. I still have one more amp that I'm wanting to connect to what will be the front speakers as well. Just trying to get them just a little bit more power as well. So I'm still researching a little bit on that. Had some help from the guys on the forums at Mighty Car Mods, reading up on just audio forums in general. Well, it's just something that I don't know much about, so happy to do the homework and sort that sort of stuff out. I find it a bit of fun, really, doing the research. So far with this, we've done the engine, bodywork, stereo, and the only thing that's really left on it is the roof. Once the roof is on, there's little things. There's a little squeak, I think, at the front right wheel that I want to fix up. The brakes are squeaking a bit. The clutch has got a little squeak on the pedal. Just day to day, it's an older car. But once this roof is done, the car's about finished in my mind. Oh, there was one silly little thing I put on it. I fitted up just for the heck of it. I've always wanted the NOS button on my car, and we're in Australia, so we're not allowed to do that. So I fitted up a windscreen washer sprayer to the car, missile switch and a red NOS button, which I was going to fit to the steering wheel until I realised I'd have to buy a whole new mounting bracket with dual moving parts. And it just became too much of a job, so which is okay. So we yeah, we've got a little button now to press, which is great. That sprays water now onto the intercooler to cool it, which would possibly make a difference in a 1,500 horsepower car. Makes zero difference in this, but it was a lot of fun. So I've got the button, so I'm happy. So that's this car. Once the roof's on, we'll finish detailing. There's a couple of issues with overspray when I painted it. I foolishly left a gap after what I thought was a really thorough job. It's just one of those things. I'll never do it again. I've learned my lesson, and I've paid for it over and over again as I have to get rid of the overspray. But that's the car. It's a lot of fun. So if you do have one of these, or you want to know something about it, just like the other cars, let us know. That's the thing. What I love about this car is that it was so cheap, and I love it, but I don't care all that much. It's not like if I got ran in, if it got crashed, then it would hurt. It's a little car, but it's not gonna. It's not gonna mean that we're out of pocket a huge amount of money. I'd be out of pocket a lot of time, but this can sit in the shed for a month and not affect me. Still get around, get to work, and live life. So that is what this car is. So I'd encourage you guys, if you can afford it, insurance and rego, get something like this. Find yourself a bargain somewhere, and enjoy that, because these are just awesome cars.